This is our continuous reheat strip furnace application. This is again the same type of application for reheat furnaces which we have for other applications like walking beam pusher, roller hearth, and rotary hearth. So this is primarily for strip furnaces, for reheat furnaces, or any other continuous annealing furnace type of application. In order to run this, either you can create your own furnace from scratch and store them in a file, or you can use an existing furnace that you have created earlier. Today I'm going to show you the existing furnace that we have built earlier. And in order to do that, you have to click on the file icon. So if you see, there are new and then there are open. If you go for the new, it will create a new furnace. So we are not going to do this today. We are going to go with the furnace that was created earlier. So there are two furnaces right here. We are going to use the second one, and that will show you the furnace that we have created. Now, if you notice, like, the first part is the furnace data. The furnace data consists of furnace details, wall and skid details, and fuel. Under furnace details, there are furnace info. Now here it is strip because this is primarily for strip furnaces. So you won't be able to change that particular item. So the next one is heating type, which is top and bottom. That is also fixed because it is done for this particular furnace application. Number of zone, we have selected 15. You can have anywhere from number of zone to be 2 to 15. The first zone is, of course, the unfired zone, and starting from the second zone to the 15th zone, they are fired zone. So total dimension of the furnace is 183 meters long. So if you see the figure, like from 1 to 2, it is 183 meters. The width of the furnace is 1.9 meter. The door areas, charge door area is 0.1 meter square. Discharge door area is 0.1 meter square as well. So the next is the zone length. The zone length, you have to start with the unfired zone. This is the zone where there is no combustion taking place or no firing taking place. Anywhere from zone 1 to 15, you will have burners associated with them. So the next item will be wall and skid details. Under wall and skid details, you have the wall area, just like any of our reheat furnace application. You have got the meter square area per meter of the furnace that you have to enter for this particular furnace application, or this particular run is 2.2 meters square per meter. Then, of course, we have got refractories that you have to select for the roof, the side walls, as well as the refractory hearth. For each of those walls or sides or surfaces, you have the option to select anywhere from 1 to 4 layers of refractories. So in the first, the roof, we have got 3 layers, and we have selected the layers, like, you can select by clicking this items, drop down menu, and there are several refractories that we have in our database, and that's what we have selected. And for thickness, we have selected 6 centimeters. So similarly, for each of them, you will have to go and select your refractory material, and then you have to enter the thickness. Similarly, for each of the sides and each of the hearth. So that primarily is all about the refractories. The next one is fuel. So fuel, again, we have the option to go for a single input or multiple input. The single input is the same heating mode, burner type, and fuel throughout the furnace. And for multiple input, you can select different heating mode, burner type, and fuel for each zones. So for heating mode here, we have selected gas. And then for burner types, there are three options. There are conventional, regenerative, and oxy type. For regenerative, you have to enter the fuel extraction percentage. And for oxy enriched fuel, you have to enter the pure oxygen percentage that is used. For fuel, you again have the drop-down menu with different types of fuel that we already have in our database. And once you select that, you have to enter the combustion air temperature, fuel temperature, and excess air percentage. So that primarily constitute all our furnace related data. So the next one we will talk about is the charge data. In the charge data, you have the strip here, if you see that. So for the strip, you have to select the thickness of strip and the width that is being used. And then the input temperature and the target temperature. So this is the drawing of how the strips are being put through the furnace, and that is being heated. Then next is the boundary condition. The boundary condition is the top view factor as well as the velocity of gas that goes over the strip. Okay, the one that you have to select here is the grade of steel. Again, from the drop-down menu, you have got 26 grades of steel that you would be able to select, and that will tell exactly what type of grades of steel you're heating in the furnace. Once you enter that, okay, so one thing we have, I have to mention a little bit about the strip length inside the furnace. The strip length, if you notice, like, is much longer than the furnace length because they are coiled inside the furnace. So this will determine what will be the velocity of strip inside the furnace as it moves through. So the next comes the set point temperatures. Under the set points, you'll have to give the production rate, metric tons per hour, and you'll have to set all the zone temperature from zone 1 to zone 14 in this case. So once you do that, you do a select and a profile. If you notice, like, you get the velocity, which is pretty high a velocity right here, primarily because the strips moves at a very high velocity through the furnace. So this is the furnace profile or distance temperature profile that has been calculated from the zone temperature that was provided here. So with that, all you have to do a calculation. So once you do the calculation, it will go ahead, and if you notice, like, there are different iteration that is going through. And let me see, there are 7 iterations we have fixed here. And so it will go through 7 iterations of calculations. So once that is done, we'll be able to go to the charge profile. Okay. So this is, the run is complete. If you notice that the strip is heated up from ambient to the temperature of the furnace right here. So this, the red profile of the red line is the temperature profile of the furnace, and this black or green line, of course, there are 3 of them, top, bottom, and center, but they're pretty much the same. So it's almost one over another. So you're not being able to see the difference. But of course, if your strip is a little thicker, or if it is moving at a little bit higher speed, you'll be able to see the difference in temperature right here. So this is the temperature of the strip. And then after that, you go to the heat profile. The heat profile gives you the the total heating that is required along the furnace length. The next one is the zone heat. The zone heat gives you part to the heat, the refractory loss, the slot loss, door losses, heat to the rolls, and total heat demand, which is the sum of all for each of those zones from here unfired and from zone 1 to zone 14. So the next one is the heat audit. The heat audit gives you the combustion analysis. Now for each zones, if you notice, like, the available heat, which is being taken from the previous tab, and then for each zone, you get the recuperated heat, fuel heat, flue losses, and the net heat and the gross heat. The next item is the final results, which gives you the total combustion heat analysis and combustion analysis for the furnace. If you notice, like, here is available heat for the entire furnace, the part to the heat, wall loss, door loss, and heat to the rolls, as well as the total available heat right here. Then in addition to that, you have got other heat, which is heat to the air, fuel heat, and then you have the gross heat and the net heat for the entire furnace. And on the right hand side, if you notice, like, you have got the flue loss, flue latent, flue sensible, as well as the total flue, as well as the flue gas temperature. And then right here is the recuperated heat. You also get fuel consumption for both gross and net heat, which is megajoules per kg. And then right here, you get air fuel flow for all the zones. On the right hand side, you have got scale losses and weight of steel loss to scale, and heat of formation due to scale, and scale sensitive heat. So that's the complete analysis with results. Next, you go to the report. The first report gives you the input on the left hand side, and on the right hand side you have the temperature of the strip, as well as the table form of that. When you go to the report 2, this gives you the table format or table for all the zones, the total, all the heats, both the combustion heat required, as well as the heat that is required to heat the steel, as well as all the losses. So this data can be shown both, not both, like, you can, if you click this icon, this will make a report as a text file, the complete input as well all the output. Similarly, all the results can be available in a PDF format if you click the PDF file button, as well as you can have them in an Excel file format if you click the Excel file. So that's all about the analysis and the report. Next, we'll go ahead and talk a little bit about the property data. If you notice, there are 3 types of properties here, 3 different items. There's the refractory property data, the material property data, and the fuel property data. The refractory property data, if you remember, like, from the drop-down menu, we have selected all the refractories that has been entered, and right in this place, you can edit, create a new data or new refractory, or delete an existing one. Similarly, you can do it for fuel. And for fuel, if you notice, like, there is more gaseous fuel as well as the liquid fuel. Then you have the material data, but the material data, we have got 26 grades of steels, which we have already put in. You don't have the option to enter your own refractory data at this point in time. So that concludes our street furnace software.